Okay, hey, this is Tim Turner. I'm with Torrid Technologies, and today we're going to go through a case in the Retirement View. I'm also going to tell you a lot of the most common questions that we have. So I'm going to start with that. Here are some of the most common questions that we have. First of all, on the retirement income goal in today's dollars, is that after taxes or before taxes? The answer is after taxes. What is the spendable cash you need? The program's going to figure out where it's going to get the money to fund that and account for the taxes when needed. Another common question that comes up is about the tax rates. We have federal marginal and state and local tax rates, which in our program triggers a miniature calculation for an effective tax rate. You don't pay federal taxes on your state taxes, so it's not quite the sum of the two. However, a true effective tax rate you would have to calculate outside this program. So you would get your federal and state tax returns, and you would add up the total taxes paid and divide that into your total gross income, and then put the percentage here. So if I did that and the amount was 15%, then I would enter 15% as a total effective rate, like that. Okay? Alrighty. Another common question is, where do I enter a Roth IRA? Roth IRA is a tax-free investment, so you're going to put that here. Where do you enter a traditional IRA? That's a qualified tax-deferred investment. Where do I enter my 401k, my TSP, my 403b? Those are all qualified retirement accounts, so they go under tax-deferred investments, qualified. Another very common question is, can I enter my investments in detail? Yes. So one option is to go to these balances and just enter the number, and you can just do that as a thumbnail plan. Another option is to click the investments button and enter each account in detail, how much you have in each account, what your estimated returns are or historical returns, and then the tax type. Once you enter all that, the program can aggregate it and run the calculations that it needs to. Okay, do we have any other questions from anyone? Okay, I don't have any questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this file, and I'm going to create a new file because I had somebody that sent in a case, and I'm going to call him Steve. So we're going to create a whole new case, and we're going to go through it from scratch. Sample case for Steve. Okay, let's say Steve, let's say he's 47 years old. So let's say he was born in 1968. Let's see if that gives them the right. It's possible that example consumer Steve. Okay. 48. Okay, so I'm off by a little bit. So I'm going to move the birth date to October. That'll get him to 47. Okay, so now Steve is 47. All right, so I have a little sheet of paper I printed out that has all his information. He says he's 47 and wants to retire at 57. He's making about $100,000 a year, and I'm not sure if he's getting any raises or not, so let's keep that down to about 1%. And he says he's saved about $65,000 in his tax-deferred plan, and he's saving 8% of his income into this plan, so that's about $8,000. Let's see what else. He's got a pension of $38,000 a year. Now I'm going to go ahead and assume he's going to get that when he retires at 57. And He says that's a net amount, so we may have to figure that out, because usually in here with $100 a year. Alrighty. And the other thing he says is that he needs about $40,000 in today's dollars. So I'm going to assume that's after taxes. And he was using a 2% inflation rate. I think that's a little low, but inflation has been kind of low lately. All right, so what we don't know is about the tax rates. So Steve, if you're on this call, you can put into the message box about the tax rates. That'd be cool, because I'm not sure what tax rates you're in. So like, for example, if we keep our state rate at 5%, we're up here at 24%, and maybe this is a little high given his income. You know, my guess is on an effective rate, and again, I'm just guessing, maybe 18%. Let's try and use that just to keep it conservative. All right, so 38,000. So right now he's got 65,000 that he's saved, and he's putting away about 8,000 a year, but only for 10 years. If I go to the savings graph, by the time he retires, he only has $183,000 to help fund the retirement. Now granted, actually something happened here, 8%. I must have deleted that out. Also, we don't have his returns. He didn't tell us what returns he's getting, so I only have 3%. Let's say he gets 5%. Let's just see how that impacts things. And so I show that he has 210,000. Okay, so he's retiring at 57. Let's say you live to be age 87. That's 30 years. There's just no way you're going to be able to fund 80 years of retirement with 192,000. It's just, or 200,000. It's just not possible. However, he does have the pension and Social Security. So I'm not sure if that's a U.S. Social Security or not. You can't get it at 57. Let's say he gets that at 62. We'll back that up a little bit. So according to this, he runs out of money at around 70. So we just dial to the first red bar, and we'll see that he's getting yellow, his pension after taxes, and he's getting his Social Security after taxes. But his investments are already depleted, because when he starts retiring at 57, he doesn't have the Social Security yet. He's dipping into his investments to the tune of about $20,000 a year, but that number keeps going up with inflation. So by the time he's 62, he's going to need, actually that's when the Social Security kicks in. So he only needs about 13, 14,000, 15,000, keeps going up. Right here he needs about 18,000. So right in here he runs out of money, 69 or 70. So unless Steve has some sort of, you know, medical issue, it doesn't look like retiring at 57 is a good idea for Steve. Even though he has the pension and the Social Security, which he'll keep getting. Also, I don't know if there's a cost of living adjustment on the pension. He didn't let me know about that. So I'm going to take the retirement age, and I'm going to move it back to 65, which is a very typical retirement age, and I am going to see the effect of that. Okay, all we did was move back his retirement. What that did was it got his 8% contributions going on for another 8 years, plus his compounding, and he hasn't started spending his investments. So all of that together gets him out to age 85. So that one little change, we didn't have him save more, we didn't have him go to riskier investments. All we did are those two things. So he got to 85. What if he saved 10% instead of 8%? Then he gets out to age 88. So if he thinks he might live more closer to age 90, then I think he should try to bump up his contributions if he can. That would be a smart thing to do. If he can't bump that up, then maybe consider doing something over here with putting some money away outside of his retirement plan at work. Now, another thing that I just realized that he emailed was that he wants to pay off his mortgage. He has about a $260,000 mortgage, and he wants to have that paid off by 57, and then he wants to be able to use the difference. I'm not sure what he's saying there. I think he would have, if he has his house paid off, that would be another asset. So only thing I see here is about $260,000. So if you want to model that, you can go under here and say you got to live some $260,000 mortgage. I'm assuming the house is worth at least $260,000, maybe more. Maybe it's worth $300,000, and maybe you're going to downsize. So you're going to go from a $300,000 house to a $150,000 house and pull out $150,000. And you're going to do this when you retire. Maybe not when you retire. Maybe you're going to live there until you're 72, and you're going to pull that out as a one-time lump sum. If you're here in the U.S. and it was your primary residence, you probably would not have to pay any taxes on that. So let's add that into the plan, and that gets him out to age 95. So he can use that to help tap into it. Now, some of the questions we have coming up, have I entered the right amounts into RetirementView? I've shown you how to enter a lot of these amounts that this person sent in. Here's the next question. Should the employer pension amount be gross or net? It really should be a gross number, because if you have a tax rate, then it'll net it out. However, we do have a setting. Say you only know the net amount. You can go under settings, pension. I apologize, wrong setting. Settings, taxes, and you could net taxes out of the pension. If I uncheck that, it will not net the taxes out. So I can uncheck that, and then it would make the $38,000 a gross amount. So now if we look at the graph, we have $38,000 a year gross. All right, but that's not what he emailed. He says that's a net amount. So that's a net amount. Oh, actually it is. It's injecting $38,000 net. So that's what we did. We made the $38,000 the actual amount without having to remove any taxes, and that's what he emailed me. So maybe that's the right thing to do. The one thing I see as a problem with this plan is the inflation rate. If inflation is 2.5%, then we're going to see some red at 91. If it's 3%, a lot of people say model 3%, he runs out of money at 84. So the inflation rate has a huge impact, a really huge impact. Now, Steve says he may travel, and that's what a lot of the expenses are for. But maybe as he gets up to 70 and higher, maybe he doesn't travel quite as much. Okay, next question. Does the software provide my overall net value for any year? I don't know what he means by net value. If we go to the savings graph, we can see the total investments. So if you called up all of your banks, mutual fund companies, trading companies, investment companies, and said, what is the balance of my account regardless of tax type? That's what this picture is. So it shows him having $459,000 at retirement. Later, when he injects the home equity, he gets up to $515,000. So I don't know what he's saying by net. I don't know if it's tax deferred. He wants to see a net of taxes picture, and that would net the taxes out of the tax deferred. We don't really have a picture for that. We just dip into it as we need it, and at that time account for the taxes. Okay, got another question. They were wanting to know all the different special rules about gross or net, today and future value when entering data. Most of the things are listed on here, like the retirement income goal. That's in today's dollars. We don't enter anything in future dollars, so just get that out of your head. The projected income targets are future dollars because they're inflated with the inflation rate. Any investment balances are future dollars as they've been grown through the returns. It's only when you spend them and try to apply them to a picture that you worry about the inflation, and the inflation only gets applied to the income goal. All right, so as far as gross versus net, Social Security or pension, you can enter the gross amounts, and then these effective tax rates would be netted out, and that's the default. So if we have both of these boxes checked under taxes, then both the Social Security and the pensions are entered as gross numbers, and the tax rates are netted out of them. However, if you know your net amount, which I don't really know how anyone would know that because it's usually a part of your overall financial picture, then you could uncheck these and just enter exact amounts. And if you do that, then the program, if I enter 11,500, then it's going to use 11,500, except we have a cost of living adjustment on Social Security, whereas on the pension we don't, so it's exactly 38,000. So if I go under settings, Social Security, and I remove the cost of living adjustment and change it to 0, then now you'll see blue. You'll see up here in this box 11,500. You'll see that all the way across, just as a flat amount. All right. So personally, I think the best practice is enter the gross numbers as an estimate and let the program estimate the taxes and net those out. I think that's the best way to do that. But if for some reason you think you know the exact amounts you're going to get net, then you could uncheck the taxes to be netted out and just enter the exact amount, and the program will eject the exact amount that you enter in the Social Security annual amount and the pension annual amounts. Okay, do we have any questions? Let's see, do we have any questions here? Okay, let's see. I have one, let's see. All right, I have somebody on the line, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute them, and we'll see what their questions are. Okay.
Hi, Tim.
Steve, are you there? Is this Steve?
No, this is Rock.
Well, I was trying to use your nickname because this is being recorded.
Okay.
So anyway.
What I meant with the my net value is my current, all my current debt, or let's say all my in French we say active, all my assets minus all my debt currently, you know, and every year. Does the software provide this information? Can we enter, let's say right now I have about $65,000 for 401k and so on, and you know I have some amount put aside, etc. So today my net value, since I have some mortgage and things like that, is probably negative, but over time it's going to be more and more positive and so on. So that's what I meant.
So that's more of like a net worth statement, assets minus liabilities. This is my net worth.
Yes, yes.
And right now the program does not calculate your net worth.
Okay.
It also does not really want you to put in assets that are not retirement related. So if I go under investments and I start entering things like, you know, my boat and, you know, my jet skis, and I'm not sure these are great assets, but I don't know, my home. If you're not willing to sell these things for retirement, then it's not really relevant to the RetirementView program. Now, we've thought about offering an option to enter these types of things and have a little checkbox where you check whether it's to be included for retirement or not, or just for net worth. So if you do just for net worth, we could then maybe have a liability screen, and then so you'd have all your investments and assets in one place and then another place for liabilities, and we could calculate a net worth. But then we would have a way for you to exclude certain assets or investments from the retirement spin down, because the way this program is designed right now, if you enter an investment or a cash infusion or anything in here, it's assuming it's all going towards your retirement. It's assuming that if you have something that's not related to retirement, like say a boat, then you're just not going to enter it.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Okay, does that help?
Yeah. And overall, the current situation with, let's say, the current figures, the current numbers that you entered, it seems that there will be a shortfall around, you know, I think it's 80 years old. It seems the red section, the red.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you don't mind, can I ask you how you're connected to the audio? Did you call into the phone, or are you using your computer?
I called in my phone. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's good to call into your phone, but just make sure on the GoToWebinar thing that you've selected audio telephone and not mic and speakers, because if you talk on the telephone and enable the mic and speakers, I think it causes an echo, and I heard a little bit of an echo.
Okay,
I don't know if that's the problem, but...
for now, it's like telephone is used. Check.
Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so I don't know if you saw me looking at this one case we have on here. I'm going to put the contributions back to 8%. So like one question is, what kind of investment return are you getting on your 401k type money?
Roughly.
Or do you even know?
Let's say for now, let's say 4% for now.
Okay, so you got 4% on that. You're asking about gross and net. So like for right now, the program, I took out the netting of the taxes, so it's injecting exactly $38,000 for the pension and exactly $11,500 for the Social Security.
Okay. And excuse me, Tim, the 38,000. This is the net amount. So should we put the gross amount?
Well, what I did was I went under settings, taxes, and I disabled the netting of taxes out of the pension.
Okay.
So by unchecking this, it will not net the taxes out. If I leave that check, then it would deduct 18% based on the tax rates I've entered so far. And I just made these tax rates up. So right now, it's if you look at the yellow, see that yellow box at the top? It says exactly 38,000.
Okay.
So I think we're doing what you're wanting.
Okay, great. So all the amounts at the top are net, huh? Could we say that?
Yes, they're net.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, 65. So in that scenario, I think everything looks good. So
okay.
yeah. So
all right.
Means that let's say during retirement, the tax rate should be around 23% overall.
Okay. So I'm going to just enter 23% then.
Please.
And we won't
Okay,
worry about what.
Before it's more about 28. Before retirement, let's say.
Okay.
It's more.
All right.
28 for before, please.
All right. Sounds good. And I had jacked up the inflation because I'm not sure how realistic it is to get the 2% inflation, but I can put it back to 2%.
Okay, and my goal is in today's dollars in gross or net? Is it
net?
Net.
That's a net amount.
Okay, great.
So that means we're going to try and fund $40,000 of spendable cash after taxes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So like if we do all that, it shows you're going to run out around age 92.
Okay. Okay. And here we see that the Social Security is not inflated at the rate.
It is not, no.
And the pension. Oh, in my case,
so like we can. Okay, so I'm going to add the COLA to the Social Security. The 20-year average is 2.26. So I'm going to put that in. And then you said the pension, does that have a COLA?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, the COLA, but it means that there's an inflation. It's increasing 2% according to the inflation rate. Yes.
Okay, so after it starts, okay, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in here and say after it starts in retirement, it's going to start going up by 2% a year. Okay, so that's going to be huge because actually it inflated it. Oh, it starts at it. Oh, okay, I know what happened. I moved your retirement age back because I was playing around with it, and I didn't move that one back. So right now it has you retiring at 65. We can go back to retiring at 57. You can't start Social Security before 62, though.
Yeah. Here in Canada, it's 65, let's say.
Okay. What about the pension? Can you start that at 57?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, you're looking pretty good then.
Okay. Thank you.
You're not really depleting. You're not really. Oh, there's one thing that I did though. Let's undo this. You mentioned something about your mortgage and your home, so I just made something up. I'm going to remove that for right now because that injected more assets into your plan that you don't really have.
And thank you very much, Tim, for this great information and support. This is excellent.
Well, good. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. So what's happening here is when we get up here, 98, it's very close. Yeah, your pension and Social Security is very close to your income need. The inflation is going to be the big deciding factor. If you average 2.5% inflation, you see you're going to not quite meet your target. You're going to have some red. However, since you have a COLA on your pension and on your Social Security, at least your defined benefit payments are keeping up, at least rising and keeping somewhat on track with the rising income target that you're setting. So there is a gap that's starting to show if inflation creeps up. It goes to 3%.
Okay, thank you.
So if inflation goes to 3%, then at 67 you're going to not have any investments left. You'll just have your pension and Social Security.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think by law here, my employer will match the real inflation rate.
Okay.
The government, the federal government here in Canada, so they match the inflation rate.
Okay, well that's good. So that means your pension can help track the inflation, correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is.
Well, that's good.
Thank you very much for all this overview. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Maybe let's say, I will let other people talk first. I would have maybe at the end.
Okay. All right, well, okay, if anyone else has any questions, then send it through on the chat or questions box. If you have any questions, it could be about this case, it could be about the software, it could be about entering data, how to enter data. Okay, here's a question that someone's brought up, and that is, they say that when they retire, they're going to work part-time for a few years, and they want to know where they can enter that, because the retirement age, what the program assumes is the retirement age stops your job income. So in this case, if we set retirement age to 57, then the job income will stop, and so any contributions based on the job income will also stop. So then where do you put a part-time job? We go under cash infusions, and you can enter any lump sum or series of payments. So like line 3 we have as an example part-time job. You can use any line for a part-time job. We just happen to have line 3. You could put it on line 2 if you wanted, line 8, whatever. So let's say you're going to work somewhere and make $12,000 a year, and you're going to do that at when you retire. In this case, let's just do it in the context of this plan we have going right now. He's retiring at 57 from his regular job. Let's say he's going to go work at the golf course part-time. He's going to make $12,000, and he's not going to get any raises because it's sort of a lower paid job, just an hourly job. So, oh, I didn't set the duration, my bad. So let's say you're going to do that for 8 years, so set duration to 8. And there we go. You see a bunch of white there. So instead of depleting investments during this period, we used a part-time job to fill that gap. All right, any other questions? Well, hopefully you can see that the program's really easy to use. You know, you can play around with your income targets if you want to try to have more income or less income to see where that's going to leave you, when you're going to run out of money at different income targets, how the inflation impacts it, how the taxes impact it. Let's say these change, they go down, they go up. So you can instantly see how a change affects your particular picture. So that's the value of it. Hopefully everyone can see that. And if you don't have our program, feel free to download a demo from our website, which is torridtech.com, torridtech.com. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If anyone has any other questions, you can stick around, but we've been on the call for a little over 30 minutes, and I want to go ahead and end the recording. And if anybody wants to stick around, feel free. Hope you enjoyed this. Tim Turner, Torrid Tech, signing off. Have a great day.